Alright, so here at the 3 o'clock position on Terminus, we have Gix that says VT, but of course he is on Rain now. He is spawning as our blue Zerg player. His opponent down here at the 6 o'clock position, that is Fnatic Nightend, spawning as our red Protoss, and of course the map is Terminus. Super easy to take 3 bases, so I would not be surprised if we have a nice long macro game in store for us.
Yeah, one little thing to note here, Gix using his old tag VT, no doubt, you know, no surprise there because, of course, Frank, the manager of Rain, used to manage VT as well, so no doubt picking up Gix right there. I'm not too familiar with Gix, actually. I haven't seen any games of him before. It's an unfamiliar name to me. As you guys can probably tell, it's like Gix. So we'll see how this plays out.
He's a very solid player. He hasn't had a ton of like huge tournament results or anything like that, but I've heard that he's an incredibly good practice partner, that he's very, very smart about the game, great decision-making, things like that. So we'll see how that pans out. We actually have Nightend dropping down the pylon at the choke point. We're going to do some sort of a fast expand, whether that's a fast nexus into a gateway wall off or just a straight up forge fast expand, though. We'll find out here in a bit.
Yeah, one thing you noted interestingly enough, Cats, is the fact that players who are just practice partners, they don't really get themselves out in the limelight, but they're really, really good. I know a lot of players off the top of my head that don't, play that much in tournaments, but they're practice partners on teams, and people come to know them through that way. And the casual community might not know them, but the hardcore players who play on ladder a lot do.
And actually, I'll tab away for just a second, guys, so you'll lose game sounds for just a second. Someone reminded us that the game sound, or that the game overlay is not showing, so bam, there it is now. So we are back. We found a nice little trick for that, so thank you very much.
It's just a one-click I win button, isn't it?
Slavish Scott. Yes, there it is, and I have indeed won. So here we go. Gix actually dropping down pool first, and he's going to go into an expansion after that, but going to make sure that he's able to defend that expansion with a couple of lings and prevent any sort of annoying pylon blocks and things like that.
Yeah, it's always important here for Gix. I say this time in and time out. Always important for any Zerg player to make sure they get their pull first before hatchery. It's so hard to get that hatchery down first, and even then, look, the lings aren't even out yet. He actually cut lings here. There we go, the lings finally coming out really late on those Zerglings, and that pylon will be allowed to delay the hatchery for a little bit more additional time.
Yep, and looks like the expansion actually coming down at the 3rd right away. So Gix is going to respond to this in pretty predictable fashion with going up to a quick 3rd base. And he's already shown that intention down there, and I'm sure this probe is a little bit confused now. I also want to answer a couple of things in chat real quick, as Nightend actually is going to scout this hatchery. People in chat were asking, did this come before Fnatic lost a couple of players? No, these games are actually very recently played, so Fnatic is actually without Sen or Phoenix, but they still have Rain, Nightend, Kawhi Rice, about called them Lefnej, but of course it's Xianfei, and missing someone. I know I am. Who am I missing? Who am I missing?
Who are you missing?
Anyway, so we'll find out here in a bit. So, anyway, we have Nightend. He does have his expansion down. He has gone for double gas before his gateway has come up, so that is actually going to be a pretty significant tech switch. Probably some sort of stargating coming, although, of course, that has yet to be revealed.
Yeah, Nightend here has gotten that Forge Fast Expand down. His door is completely secure. On a map like this, you can do that really easily as Protoss, and we can see that Gix has gone for that kind of double hatch strategy. He's seen that the Protoss is going to go for Forge first, so he's thinking to himself, you know what, I'm just going to play the macro game. Even though the spawn points are relatively close by ground, this is a map where you can hold down 3 bases pretty easily for Zerg. So I kind of like Gix's strategy here. It'll be interesting to see where he goes with the mid game. And as far as Nightend is concerned, you mentioned that he may also go into Stargate. Does he have a 3rd gas coming up?
Yeah,
he has 2 for now.
Let's see.
No
just
3rd gas quite yet. So he may go for Stargate. We'll have to see. I would presume he's going to just go for standard gateways, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, it very well could be very, very strong gateway pressure or something like that. Oh, there it is. Stargate actually coming down. But what you were saying, no, I mean, I agree with you. He wasn't going for that 3rd gas right away. It could very easily have been like 7 gate pressure or something like that. We've even seen Nightend's teammate TT1 go after like super abusive gateway strategies, going after like 8 gate +1 all-ins, things like that.
I mean, people consider 6 gate already all-in enough, so when you add on 2 more gateways, things get a little hectic.
I have seen TT1 go after 9 gate off a 2 base on this map, no less.
Wow.
So
I don't know how Zerg would hold that off without scouting. That's pretty much GG.
So let's see here. Gix, he has pretty good pylon placement. He's going to be able to detect any units making their way over, any sort of drop play or anything. Stargate is finished. We'll see if it's a Void Ray or Phoenix. Looks like he was saving up for a Void Ray, and I imagine he's just going to Chrono Boost out a couple of Phoenixes after that for support.
Yeah, I would imagine so. He only has 1 Stargate for now. It does look like he's just gearing up to go right into a 3rd Nexus here without dropping out a 2nd gateway. He's just got 1 gateway, 1 Stargate. On a map like this, either player can really hold down that defensive fort for a very long time. So if he just goes right away for that 3rd Nexus without even throwing down a 2nd production structure, that would be just insane. But, you know, it's quite possible on a map like that to do this, but he is making up a 2nd Stargate. So I guess we're going to see a quick take to the skies here, and, you know, given that they've spawned right next to each other, this quick airstrike could potentially do a lot of damage to Gix.
Yeah, certainly. Looks like Gix does pick up on this, though. He's trying to get his Overlords away as quick as possible, but there's already a charge going on this Void Ray, and there it is, fully charged.
Is he going to save
Void
the
Ray's
Overlord?
going to fall down. It goes down. We do have an Infestation Pit, super quick Infestation Pit coming out of Gix. Looks like one of the spectators was alerting us to that presence, but wow, 2 Overlords already killed by that Void Ray. Interesting to note, guys, that we have our versions of the map set up, and wow, the spectator really wants us to know that this Infestation Pit is up. But anyway, we have our own versions of the maps, and our version actually has the Destructible Rocks heading to the 3rd, so it doesn't look like they were using our version, but neither of the team managers complained, and I guess they let it stand, so no harm, no foul.
Yeah, no harm, no foul done. But there is, like you mentioned, the quick Infestation Pit coming up for Gix here, which I kind of like. I think he saw that Stargate. I think he saw the Void Ray, so he can kind of go for that Infestor play because Fungal Growth, Infested Terrans, they're really good against areas from the Protoss.
Sure.
Yeah, just spit out a whole bunch of Infested Terrans.
Stargate.
We do have a double, like I said, double Stargate. He is double Chrono Boosting it, but I think Gix is prepared for this. He's got Hydras coming out. He's got Infestors coming out already. The Infestors are going to pop right as soon as Pathogen Glands finishes, so he's going to have all those energy ready to go for that Fungal Growth and for the Infested Terrans, and of course he's got the Hydras for backup as well.
And here we go, 3 Void Rays and already 3 Phoenixes in the air. They're going to make their way in here in just a second. Just the 1 Spore Crawler there for now. Those Infestors are about 5 seconds away, and there are a couple of Hydras here as well. They're going to start moving up and take out these Phoenixes.
Of course, the Spore Crawler down.
Yeah, and he actually did quite a good job of that. 1 Phoenix does go down, but the Void Rays are destroying at the moment. We're going to need to see these Infestors come up. Are any Fungal Growths going to go down? No, just Infested Terrans for now. Oh my god, they may actually take out these Void Rays. No, the Void Rays are too charged up. They're going to go after those. I thought there were a couple of Hydras still around for support, but nope, those were already dead.
Well, we do have 9 Hydras on the way right now for Gix, and are they going to pop out in time, though? They're actually coming out kind of 1 by 1 limbo mode. Not enough to do the damage they need to do. They need to all come out right away. Now more Queens being pulled over from the north side, and is he going to have enough to deflect this? This is actually getting really tense right now. Loses another Hydralisk, loses a second. No, doesn't lose the Queen. He's actually pulling his forces back, and thank God he has an Overlord pooping there to spread that creep, or his forces would have just lost speed without the creep. He does take out one of the Phoenixes, but he's losing forces still left and right. Nightend is not macroing back at home, though. He's got 1,000 minerals saved up, 300 gas. He is getting a robotic support base, so he's kind of trying to transition out of this. But you gotta wonder, if he had just Chrono Boosted more Void Rays, more Phoenix, could he have ended the game right there?
Either that, or could he, if he had just dropped down those 4 gateways a little bit earlier, if he would have just run in a few Zealots to the front
that's
even.
What I was thinking.
I mean, yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, because even after he decided to drop down those 4 gateways and a robotics bay, he still had those 1,200 minerals sitting around. He still had way too much money.
It could have been like a whole bunch of Zealots or something running into the front door.
Now, Gix is still far behind, don't get me wrong. Let's actually take a look. 15 workers killed for him. Unit stats suggest that he's down by 8 workers, and we see the 3rd base coming out from Nightend. But he could have done so much more.
Yeah, I don't think that Gix is too far behind, because he has that 3rd hatchery up, whereas Nightend just got the 3rd Nexus up.
Right.
And you know, all things held down, he held off that 2 Stargate attack.
Right.
And there isn't, the backup plan for Nightend came a lot later than you would expect. So I don't think Gix is that far behind. I think he can definitely recover from this situation. I would love to see him just grab a 4th hatchery really quickly, or try to bust down the front right now with his forces, because Nightend doesn't have a transition. However, I don't think Gix realizes that Nightend transitioned so lately out of this.
Yeah, I don't either. And
so I don't think he can attack. He just doesn't know.
No, what is the follow-up for both players? Like you said, I wish we would see the 4th base. These Phoenixes were patrolling quite a bit, so They may have picked up on a drone and we didn't see it before. But if he takes a base, I think he's got to take these expansions that are a little bit more hidden. He can't take one in the middle of the map. But I really do want to see one of those go down. Looks like Nightend's going to run in with Phoenixes around the back of the natural once again. No more Spore Crawlers have gone up, interestingly enough. Looks like Gix is not investing in static defense, rather just wants to make sure he has more Hydras, more Infestors out, which at this stage in the game, I really like.
Agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he saw that there weren't additional Void Rays and Phoenixes coming after that attack, so he can kind of deduce from that Nightend isn't going to continue with this Air Force. He's transitioning out of it, albeit late, but he is transitioning out of it, so he doesn't need to invest more into Spore Crawlers. Rather, he's going to get real attacking units, Roaches, Hydras, Infestors. And honestly, I feel like Gix still has a chance to win this game. I don't think he's that far behind. He's rebuilding his forces. Look, the supplies have now evened up. Can we pull up that income tab real quick just to see? The Zerg is just a little bit far behind, but he is pushing out right now, and he is grabbing a 4th hatchery at the same time, so he's doing everything he needs to do to stay in this game.
The Roach, Hydra, and Fest are going to be the order of the day. We do have a 4th base coming down from Nightend already, though feels pretty confident that he can take that. Wow. If he gets his units pinned down by Fungals, actually all these units are grouped up. A couple of key Fungals could be huge.
Oh my goodness!
And the Fungals are going down. Few Infested Terrans getting thrown up as well. These Hydras are sitting at the back, but they are getting torn up by these Colossi. It looks like the Colossi are going to be able to rip through those fragile Hydra.
So close, man. I mean, if he had a couple of forces, a couple of Corruptors, he took out all the ground forces. He just needed something to deal with the Colossus, and he could have traded that pretty well. But I think he was way too early in pushing out right there. And he should have waited for more reinforcements.
I agree with you 100%. And all Nightend had to do was save these Colossi. It didn't matter if every one of his gateway units got torn to pieces. He has 3 Colossi heading into his next attack, going to build a 4th as well as he goes to his 4th base, as he replenishes off of, I believe he has 7 or 8 gates at the moment.
Yeah, so, it's about 8, I think.
Yeah, I mean, his macro is just fine now. Stark contrast to what it was before. He is in a good place. His Colossus count is really high. Oh no, he actually may have gotten his units a little bit misrallied. One Colossus is going to go down. No, not quite. Down to very low health.
God, those Roaches and Hydras are just running right into the gauntlet, and Hydras do not fare so well against Zealots, but the Zealots are hacking and slashing their way right in the Hydra's face. All the Hydras have been burned away. The Colossus didn't even go down, and with that, Nightend has taken a huge lead in this game. Nightend not going to pressure, though. He's not going to continue to push, just going to fall back. I kind of agree with that. He lost a lot of forces in that engagement here or there as well. So, but I still think Nightend now is way ahead. I mean, attack after attack just failing.
And you never want to be on equal bases with a Protoss or Terran opponent if you're a Zerg player, and Gix has been there the entire game, essentially. So Nightend has been able to match, even exceed his economy, because he has been chrono boosting off of 4 Nexuses this entire time. We do have a number of Lings coming out for Gix, but it seems like more of a ploy to use resources at this point, because I think that Roaches would be a much better investment with this army, because those Lings are just going to get torn up by 3 Colossi that are already on the field. I imagine another one. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Number 4 already joining this.
The only hope that Gix has right now for him is the Neuroparasite. I noticed he was researching it earlier, so if he can get a couple of good NPs off on the Colossus, he may have a chance. He's waiting for 3 more Infestors right now, but they take energy. They take time to build up enough energy to get the Neuroparasite down, so now it's looking pretty bleak for him. Here comes the Colossus and the Stalkers. They are going to laser that hatchery down just a little bit. It doesn't look like Nightend's going to commit, though, because the forces are coming around the south side, and there's a couple of Neuroparasites. All the Colossi getting Neuroparasited. The Roaches protecting the Infestors, but the Stalkers that blink, and they blink in there, take out all the Infestors, and the Colossus revert control back to Nightend, and that should be all she wrote for Gix.
A very, very good snap decision to blink in there from Nightend, because had those Colossi been neuroparasited for even about 5 or 10 more seconds, the Stalker numbers would have dwindled. But as it stands, Nightend still has a very significant force. He's still producing off those 4 bases, still producing off of 9 gates, still getting upgrades. All the while, Gix has been forced to produce as many emergency units as he can. And look at this, a 5th Colossus actually making its way up. It's going to be able to deal with a couple of units that are sitting out here in the middle of the map. And GG is called.
Yes, indeed.